Butterfly Nebula from Backwaters, University of Nebraska Press, which was the winner of the Backwaters Prize in Poetry. Litany of Flights from Paraclete Press. She's the winner of the Paraclete Poetry Prize, and the chapbook O Garden Dweller from Finishing Line. She also authored the nonfiction collection I Live No Longer I, and she's one of 10 poets featured in the anthology In a Strange Land from Cascade Books. Her poems have appeared in many publications, including Scientific American, Sugar House Review, RHINO, America, and First Daily. Please join me in welcoming Laura Reece Hogan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you, all of you, Brid and Hand, Smartish Pace, for hosting this. I'm so happy to be here. I'm from LA, so this is really so special and fun. So yes, my new book, Butterfly Nebula, just came out in October, and it's interested in intersections of the physical universe, the human being, and the divine, and the poems in it reach from the bottom of the sea to the land to outer space. So I'm going to read you a selection from Butterfly Nebula today. Heart Nebula. Red hydrogen gas and dust become the blood, glowing in contour of cardiac flesh, turned on its side, the universal symbol, two lobes as one. What surges from the center shapes the ruby shine, tenderness on streaming stellar wind. The human heart, tiny cradle of light, holds at its core these stars. The aching burn blows up the distance, a reaching ardor in your heart. It will bloom out and lead you into fervent, spilling over into the galaxy, expanding if you let it. Or you could cover it over with shade and fear and leave it many light years far away, lost in the cold compartment of space. So now let's plunge back into the sea. This next poem involves a siphonophore, which is a really long colonized sea creature. Think kind of really long sea snake. This is heart, another heart as siphonophore. The researchers had imagined it, whipsawing through silty sleeves, the giant siphonophore, sea worm of such ghostly fiber and length, it would take hours to watch it pass. The writhing blue bioluminescent skin of it simultaneously here and far. Now they witness it, photograph it, stare at the improbable slithering 150-foot figment, ribboning in a quantum state. The floating bell of head so distant from the end of its colonized chambers that the steadiness steers far from the fret. Stingers jostle in the eerie suck and ripple of its path. Now, praia dubia, leap and swim forward with sureness. Now, wind sideways in uncertain fatigue. The head arrives in an Australian oceanic canyon, while the tail trails in a different time zone. So far from true cadence of itself, two places at once. There, the water glows aqua in your presence, and here, the long, thin muscle still heaving, reaching along the night-drenched bottom. So, in the course of writing this book, I kind of became a little obsessed with nebulae. So a nebula is a giant cloud of dust and gas in outer space where new stars form. But it's also the result of a supernova, which is the death of a star. So for me, it kind of came to represent this nexus of death and new life, or deconstruction and reconstruction, or just change. So there are thousands of classified nebulae in the universe, and a lot of them inspired poems, but I chose just 12 to put in the book that kind of stud the narrative arc of the book, and you've heard one already, but I'd like to read the title one, Butterfly Nebula. A stellar death, must heralded, the hottest star throws off its envelope, Taurus of dust, eaten and wretched all its life. Two violent jets of gases over 36,000 degrees Fahrenheit must rip across space, many heavy light years out from under tightened belt of the body, dark slit running through the waist. A disk of weight, a thumb of the divine, pinches the butterfly almost to severing. The thing about a resurrection, the chrysalis must cleave, expel the life blood, damp crushed wings, at first unrecognizable. The Magdalene looked in all the wrong places. She thought he was the gardener. The split of heart vowels of her name, uttered, unfold across constellation, stretching stream of ultraviolet radiation, making cast-off skin of the dead star glow into arching nebular lobes, its new form still gathering energy. So when I was a kid, I lived in Micronesia. I lived on a 2 by 3 mile island called Kwajalein, which at the time was a missile range and US Trust territory. I didn't know what was going on, but they were literally firing ballistic missiles off the island while I was there. This is playing with tiger sharks on the missile range. We were shrewd on an adventure like Huck Finn. She was 6, I was 8. We set out to hike the entire boomerang of the island. We took peanut butter sandwiches in a purple bandana, flip-flopped to the rocks at Ocean's Edge. My sister and I knew our matching denim with stars had superpowers, like Wonder Woman. So we climbed, our spindly legs slipping. We knew the glistening indigo spikes of the sea urchin, the orange and blue splotch coral, the dark mantis shadow, knew the sea held shell-encrusted Treasure Island chests of gold. How thrilled we were to spot the shiny fin of a little tiger shark, a friend, like Balu, Bagheera, the striped body undulating in the clear Micronesian water, so close we could almost touch it. Then another. We were captivated that they followed us, impressed by our daring plan, wanting to play. If we'd seen a flash of light, say, over nearby Bikini, an immense boiling mushroom over the sea, we would have looked for Alice's caterpillar. This is Strawberry Supermoon. Orbits have pulled us to this moment. Blessed are you who call me out of darkness to feed me low-hanging light, waxed amber and plump. Let the sky heart grow, summit at solstice. Let the tongue lull, hunger heighten, howl. Let the longed-for ripeness come from night. Your tender words seed, sprout and stem, widen white-green hips. Only you write each tender phase, copper pink, hints of fire. For the first time, horizon and lantern align. The moth careens into the burn of her love and lives. And I can't wrench my eyes from your brightness, can't tear circumference from sweetness, can only smolder the plum night in full. I've read sea poems and space poems. I wanted to read a land poem. This poem takes its epigraph from the book of Ezekiel, when the prophet Ezekiel, in a vision, sees this dry plain of bones. And he's asked the question in this poem's epigraph, which is, can these bones come to life? This is trembling aspen stitch. The blows struck, feral, serrated, our skulls and spines picked clean, flung apart, desiccated bones over the plain, an empty sewing, dry even of lament. What knits newness from death, or has pity, or strikes lightning? What wields the rejoining needle, the healing thread? The stripped want, tattered beggar has been taken in at last. Some word jolts into guttural prophecy, casts a net of silvered light, tiny gathering shoots. We see the infinitesimal weave never the hand, sinew to bone, bone to my bone, bone of my bone, flesh, my flesh, a body assembling out of the topsoil, a rib, share, unseen fingers stitch us into shimmering cities, make of us a home. Heart of my heart round aspen leaves quiver and quicken as the spirit blows in. I, dear belly of your belly, you, belly of me, trunk tinged chlorophyll green, rising almost imperceptibly. As I mentioned, I live in LA. So earthquakes are part of the landscape there. This is between 50 and 51. The walls mimic grass cloth, an imagined savanna of cream and palest green echoed in subtle stalks on carpet, the beveled mirror on back wall, the panel, usual, buttons, 1 to 60. But then that's all what my mind reconstructs alone in the dark, in the panic and jangling heart rate, when the lights go out and the box rattles and bangs against the shaking sides of the shaft, dangling on cords, on threads, dry metallic taste dumbing my tongue. The distance matters between you and me, between me and the ground, between terrifying plunges, the weight of the car crashes, cracks, the cacophony of shocked concrete heaves in my ears, screeches in my bones. My hands flail, grapple for anything. I should be on 51, walking to my beige office. The drumming deafens now, no doors in the dead darkness, and my brain is frozen between the useless emergency call button and the kind of prayer that is of the whole body, of clamor and catastrophe, of take me and make me, of chaos and clarity. My feet try to root into the pretend grasses, but I lurch and sway with the casket or chrysalis. One more nebula poem. This one was inspired by the Keyhole Nebula, which is a little dark nebula, sort of in the shape of a keyhole or figure 8. Keyhole Nebula. Opening in the southern sky, my shard to your shard, my rift, your inverse, fitted, we were shattered, just so, darkly, a mirror. In mirror, I knew the hawk behind me because I saw the talons in you rush, flash across the pane, dusky figure 8 nebula cut precise, pouring of apple, a bashful unfastening, You were always the grooves in me, even before I knew you, turning and bolting no one sees. So many keys I was given in the dream to stow in the rusted screen door, warped side door, sticking steel lockbox inside. Inside, the clouds blot the shallow pool of window. Just the littlest trick to tumble the cylinders, slightest click, twist of crisp light. Thank you. This last poem I'll read was sparked by the longest lunar eclipse in 500 years, which happened about 2 years ago, and is also kind of borrowing from the myth of Persephone. This is Persephone at the turn. On the night of the longest lunar eclipse in 500 years, I was the bright skin of the moon, passing into ruddy darkness with my handful of torn poppies. The vast slung undergarment of the abyss bled across my scuffed countenance, leaving only a sliver of my former self. Then I knew how help flies before us, tips the bowl of new life as we move, decants the courage of ripened fruit. What came before crosses into after, the shock of a new shape sliding over the brim. I have focused on the rusted shell, when the trajectory is the pale slip of mist, a swelling trust and the reversal of night. This morning, the road eclipsed in dense marine layer, yellow painted lines and reflective markers emerge in the headlights just in time. Gleaming constellations that spur me to keep driving over the miles, to lean into the silver thread widening before me, the knot of pomegranate slowly broken by light, sewing rubies into spring. Thank you.